everybody on the call, and also happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I'm really honored to be able to do this Millionaire Mentorship call right before the new year starts. I mean, we've got one more Sunday call left in 2018, and as I look back on the 2018 year and how incredible it is and how incredible it's been, I also get really excited because I know that 2018 has been a wonderful year for so many of us, and it's been a year of preparation, and I know 2019 is going to have great things in store. And so it's a lot of responsibility to do a call to wrap up a year, because on the one hand, it's the ending of some things, the beginning of other things. And so I really want you to reflect on what's gone right. Before we kind of dive in, I put together a little presentation for you guys this evening, but I want to just speak from my heart. I have kind of this outline to keep me on track, but I'm just going to share from my heart. I don't have a lot prepared, but I want you to reflect on what's gone right in your life this year, because I think that sometimes during the stress and the hustle and bustle of the holidays, we can start to focus, myself included, on all of the things that didn't go right or aren't going right, and we become real critical or self-critical. And I think now is just a wonderful time to just take a deep breath and reflect on some of the things that went right this year and some of the great things. And even if this year was maybe a hard or really challenging year for you, maybe you can reflect on some of the things that went well, because there's always a blessing and a beautiful part of life, even during the challenges. And so I think it's important to learn to develop a habit to check in with yourself and pay attention to what's going right. And so what we're going to talk about tonight is got a lot to do with principles. And what I mean by principles is just they're concepts, they're ideas that you can hold on to, that you can focus on, that you can gravitate to and grab a hold of to build a better life. I'm going to talk about success tonight. And when I'm talking about success and I'm talking about having a great life on tonight's call, I'm not just talking about the achievement you have with inside Organo. I'm not just talking about the achievement you have of going sapphire, ruby, emerald, diamond. All those things are great, and we are going to talk about those things, but I'm talking about the well-rounded success that you have, where I think true achievement comes from is achieving your goals, setting your goals, striving, pushing yourself to be better, challenging yourself, but also I think it's important to remember and understand that success is about being well-rounded. It's about financial success, yes, but I think sometimes we have to reframe success, because sometimes we are so busy comparing ourselves to other people and where they're at or where we should be, and that we lose sight of some of the wins we're actually having. And so part of reframing your successes is understanding the wins you're experiencing right now. And I love this quote from Napoleon Hill: your big opportunity may be right where you are right now. And I think that sometimes we can lose sight. We focus so much on the future. And I loved when Mr. Rod Smith said and shared last weekend that he spends a lot of time thinking about the future, designing it, creating it, but he's always sure to remember to live in this moment and to enjoy the moment and the time we have right now. He plans and prepares for the future, but he lives and enjoys the moment right now. And I think that one of the things that Organo has allowed me to have that I want to share with you, part of that vision, is a type of well-rounded success, because making a lot of money is great and it's a lot of fun, but man, is it fulfilling and rewarding when you can do it and also be happy and also be contributing to the world and also making a difference and also be growing. Because here's something about human nature that's so funny. Sometimes being challenged to grow and give more and do more and be more can be really stressful, and it can be a lot of pressure. But the thing about it, without that kind of growth and achievement, without striving for more, striving for progress, striving for better, the spirit starts to get depressed, and it gets sad, and it feels really heavy. And it's in our nature to want to grow. It's in our nature to want to achieve. And there's a really big balance there between being and doing, right? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the principles that can help keep us on track with that, to have the well-rounded success that you and your family deserve, because the blessings are so abundant. When I look at some of the things that have gone right this year in my life, I try not to beat myself up about the things that didn't go right and really focus on the strengths of the things that went well. And I want to talk about gratitude. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, and the things that I'm so grateful for with Organo and our leadership, and the things that that I've learned and the things that I've done right. And I'm even grateful for the lessons and the things that I've done wrong, and the lessons and blessings of the people who ended up being temporarily into my life. And so we're going to talk about how to live in this moment that Napoleon Hill is talking about. Your big opportunity may be right where you are right now. And I think when you're building a business, when you're building anything, a family, a business, a great health in your body, that there's a couple of things that you have to be aware of. You've got to be aware of your belief, right? Because we rise to our own expectations of belief. There's this great book that says it will be done unto him according to his belief or according to his faith. And I truly believe that. I see that in a lot of areas where people believe they can accomplish more and do great things and dare to dream big. My friend Miss Johnny gave me this mug today and it says dream big, and I love living in that space. But we have to have our belief. We have to have our belief, and then you got to combine that belief with the right mindset. And then you sprinkle in the skill set. So it goes, for me, it goes belief, mindset, and then skill set. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in the mechanics of something, the skill set of something. And I'm not saying not to be skilled. Obviously, being skilled is a sign of professionalism. It's going to help you in a lot of ways. But if you don't have the belief and the mindset right, I think that the skill set doesn't matter. The skill set can be irrelevant. And if you have a strong belief and mindset, you're still going to win. But if you have a skill set without the right belief or mindset, you could find yourself winning and it not be fulfilling in the way you want it. And let's talk about that well-rounded success that we're so capable of having here in Organo. I read a book recently that I've been recommending all over. I've been recommending it to a ton of different people. I absolutely love and adore it. And it's called The Go-Giver. And it's about a businessman, and it's given in story format, so it's really easy to read, really a fun read. Even if you're not a big reader, you can listen to it on audio. And I highly recommend it because it talks about some of the principles of success to have true, well-rounded success. And we're going to talk about some of these, and we're going to keep coming back to these over and over again. I highly recommend you get the book, but we're going to talk about these laws. And in the book, they call them the 5 laws of stratospheric success, meaning just success that is out of this world. And I'm going to read through them, and then we're going to talk about them, and then we're going to kind of mix that into how I feel this presentation works within the alignment of what you're looking to accomplish in your Organo business and in your Organo career and within the confines of your Organo family. And so the 5 laws of stratospheric success. Some of you are going to be familiar with this because maybe you've read the book or heard of it. Absolutely incredible story. The first law, the law of value. Now, if you're just dialed in and you're not able to see the video, I highly recommend you take notes. Retention increases through the roof when you take notes. If you're the type of person who's not a great note taker and you're going to miss something by taking notes because it's hard to take notes and listen at the same time, my recommendation is to not take notes right now because this audio and visual has been recorded and is being recorded, and to just listen and be in that moment right now, and then you can go back on the second round and take notes. Mr. Shane Moran taught me that when reading Think and Grow Rich. He said the first time you read it, just read it. Just be with the story. The second time you read it, go through and highlight the things that matter to you. The third time you read it, go through and make notes. But it became really valuable advice that when you want to just be in the moment with something, there's a lot of power in that. And some people are great at taking notes, and some people, it actually becomes a form of distraction. So maybe this first time around, if you're not a note taker, just be with the information, and then you can revisit it and take some notes later. So the law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. I think Napoleon Hill would call that going the extra mile, right? And making sure that you're giving of that value. What I love about this, the laws here are the law of value, the law of compensation, the law of influence, the law of authenticity, and the law of receptivity. Sometimes there's so many things to focus on that we can get lost in the sheer amount of information available. And so many people are saying, do it this way, do it that way. Sometimes we just got to focus in, because what you focus on expands. What you put your mental energy into expands. Dr. Joe Dispenza is an incredible gentleman who studies matter, and he studies the body and the mind's ability to affect matter by thoughts, by thinking, by sending out that energy. And what's so great is when we focus on things, we actually create power. You think of, and many people have used the example of the magnifying glass. You know, the sun is great. It keeps us warm. It keeps us alive. But if you can focus that light and energy into a magnifying glass, and you create this laser-like effect, and you can actually start fires. You can actually create that same energy that's always there, but if you focus it, you can harness an incredible power. And I think that's what this book has meant to me. And what I love that this book has done is, as I go through these laws and explain what they are and how we can utilize them within our Organo family, it's created a lot of self-awareness. Like, I love it, and I love the areas where I've been able to add better value and increase compensation and be more authentic. And then what's really great is I'm aware of those moments when I fall short of these things. And in that awareness, I have a chance to make a new choice. And we're going to talk about change and loving the process of change and falling in love with the whole process, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great. And so the law of value, your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. What do I mean by that when it comes to Organo? You know, I heard this shared a long time ago. Actually, Mr. Rod Smith said it at one of my first presentations, probably January. I'll have been with Organo for 10 years, so it's been an incredible decade. And I would say probably 9 years ago, he probably doesn't even remember saying this, but at one of my first presentations, he said, you know what my problem with entrepreneurs is today? And I'm thinking to myself of all the problems he might have with entrepreneurs today. And he said, my problem with entrepreneurs today is that everybody's looking to get before they give. And he said, and the secret to success, this was 9 years ago. He said, the secret to success is looking for ways you can give before you get. Of course you're going to get. That's the other side of the coin. It goes full circle. You've got to be open to receiving, and we're going to talk about that as well. But he said the problem with entrepreneurs today is they're looking to get before they give. Not instead of give, but before they give. And I think that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get so excited about the possibility, and we're dreaming so big, and there's so much pressure from these outside worlds, and we're trying to keep up with this person and that person and impress this person. And there's all of this noise in our mindset, right? We talked about belief, then mindset, then skill set. There's so much chaos and noise in the mindset that we put the cart before the horse. And I'll be the first to say, sometimes I've looked at a customer and looked at what I can make before I looked at what I can give. And I can tell you that if I look back at my career in Organo and I look at those moments when I'm working with people, whether as a leader, whether as a presenter, whether as a retailer, and I look at those moments where I truly put people first and giving of that value and how I can add value to their life, to their circumstance, to their situation, to their health, to their finances, and all that scenario, much more long-term happy success. It's a sense of fulfillment along with the financial abundance and increase when I put people first. And so you can look at your business and kind of evaluate yourself on the law of value. If 0 is not good and 10 is good, where are you on a scale of 0 to 10 in making sure that you're giving more in value than what you're taking in payment in your organization? And I look at this slide as kind of like a challenge. Sit with these laws. Sit with the ones and give yourself credit for the ones that you're already doing right. There's some of these that you're like, okay, yeah, I do that. I go above and beyond. I go the extra mile. And maybe there's 1 or 2 of the other ones, or maybe the other 4 or all 5 of them where you're like, wow, I definitely need to focus my energy on building a business. When we talk about building a principle-based business, I can see all my shortcomings. But here's the ticket, you guys. When you're honest with yourself and you have self-awareness and you're looking at your shortcomings, the ticket is not to live in them. Just be aware of them, acknowledge that they're there, acknowledge that you're not perfect. The goal isn't to be perfect. I'm looking for progress, not perfection. And acknowledge where you can get better and then move on from that. Some people, I find that, like, if this is the bar of success, they raise the bar and then they learn a lot of things. They surround themselves with amazing people who start to help them believe in themselves and dream bigger and believe bigger. And then they raise the bar again. And then they dream build and they see the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis and the yachts and they start dreaming and wanting some things that they don't even really want. They just think they're supposed to want them because it's dreaming big, and they kind of start to lose themselves. And then they dream a little bit bigger and they raise the bar up here. And then they take this bar that they've raised and they beat the crap out of themselves with it. And instead of acknowledging all of their strengths and all of the things you do right and all the things you do well and all the strengths, gifts, and talents that you've been blessed with that are innately part of who you are, what we tend to do is look at all the things we have going wrong, and then we beat ourselves up with it, and it becomes this cycle of lack of self-worth that starts to show up in our business, because our business, our income, our life is a reflection of who we think we really are. So if we're creating stresses in our life, if we're creating circumstances and different things, it is a reflection of our own self-worth. So we got to make sure that when we're evaluating ourselves in self-awareness, and I'm going off on this tangent for a reason, because some of us are really good at being really bad to ourselves. Some of us are really good at being great to ourselves and thinking we're perfect and we've got nothing going on, and that's tipping the ego scale too far to the other side. But I don't want you to dwell on what you're doing wrong. That's not the purpose of it. But to pay attention, because only if you realize, hey, I'm not doing this, or I'm not good at this, or I've not even tried this, only in becoming truthfully aware of those things can you start to grow and create progress. So in what areas? I'm going to ask you this question. And usually, see, the thing about the mind that's so cool is it will answer every question you give it. That's why you have to be really careful with your self-talk. I'm going to ask you this question, and what pops into your mind is going to be your truth, right? So in what ways in your business right now could you give more in value? In what ways in your business can you give more in value? In what ways in your relationship can you give more in value? Instead of, I see couples do it all the time. I wish he appreciated me more. I wish she understood me more. I wish she was more patient. I wish she was more forgiving. And we're always looking for someone else to fill that gap for us. But instead of looking for what you can get from that person, more appreciation, more forgiveness, more patience, whatever that looks like, why not look at what you can give first? Because we tend to abdicate our responsibility to other people, and then we give up all of our power. I'm here to tell you, you have everything you need, and you have access to everything you need to live the life that you've imagined. And this business is the perfect venue and avenue to continue to surround yourself with the right energy, the right information, and the right level of contribution. Our products, this product right here, this is adding value. And so we're going to talk about that and how you can utilize that within your business. So the law of value, what ways in your business can you give more value? Can you give more of your time? Time is pretty valuable. Can you give more of your energy and attention? Can you give more patience? Can you give more compassion? Can you give, Simon Sinek, he talks about it all the time, about how if we listened, actually Nelson Mandela said it first, he said if we listened first to understand, not waiting, not listening until it's our turn to talk, listen to understand. You know, that's a way to add value to your people and the people in your life. And I say your business and your life, and I use them very interchangeably because one affects the other. If things are not good in your business, things tend to start getting stressful at home. If things aren't good at home, those things tend to kind of wash over into the business because life is happening all around us. And I want you to wake up and be aware of the life that's happening and learn how to enjoy it while making progress and reaching for your goals. And these laws happen to be some things that can help you focus on how to increase all of the great things, all of the good things that are happening around us every single moment that sometimes we're missing out on because we're not even aware to look for them, okay? So in what ways can you add more value? The law of compensation. This one tends to be a favorite, right? Because everybody's looking for commissions. They're looking to be compensated. The law of compensation states that your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So when you're looking at your business, and it's growing well, there's a lot of money coming in, people are joining, customers are getting started, people are having success, they're having their mixers, I can tell you that I can look at your level of service and the number of people that you're serving, and that has a direct correlation to your income and your level of compensation. So if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, one of the things that I would have liked to have seen different in 2018 was more financial success in Organo, then maybe check in with the law of compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Did you serve one or two people with samples? Did you serve them with an invitation to the business? Did you serve them with being a good friend, being a listening ear? Did you serve them with the best value of yourself because you've been working on yourself and you're sharing that knowledge and information in ways that you can truly help them in their business? Because your income is going to be in direct proportion not only to how well you serve them, but how many people you serve. So, I mean, it's so basic, it's so common sense that sometimes something so simple can be what quiets the noise in the mindset and be like, okay, I believe I can serve people. There's no doubt I believe that the Ganoderma and the coffee can serve people. There's no doubt I believe this compensation plan can serve people. But how many people have I been serving this opportunity to? And how well have I been doing it, right? So that's a little bit of skill set and mindset right there. Then we have the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. This one's hard. And that's the thing about being an entrepreneur, guys. Conceptually, being an entrepreneur is easy. But the reality is being an entrepreneur is hard. It's hard. Sometimes it's easier to not grow, to not be challenged, to not think bigger, to not risk rejection, to not be authentic and be yourself in a world full of conformists. It's difficult. So if you're feeling the challenge and the difficulty of that, guess what? It's okay. I hate when people try to make it seem like being an entrepreneur is so easy. It's not. It's hard. It's worth it. I can't imagine settling for not being one, because you give up a lot of your freedoms in most cases by not being an entrepreneur. But yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's worth it. Yes, it's rewarding. So when we're talking about the law of influence, this is one of the challenges of being an entrepreneur, because there's this fear set, that fear mindset that so many people have, that if they're not watching out for themselves, that somehow that takes away from them. And here comes the law of influence and says that your influence. John C. Maxwell said, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Well, the law of influence says your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. It's about being selfless. It's about placing someone else's needs above your own. Let me give you a classic example that maybe you've come across, and I'll be the first to take responsibility for having done this in my business. There have been times in the past where I wanted to make a fast start bonus so badly because it was about what I could get, that I turned a good customer into a bad business partner. Instead of giving them where they were at after they told me what they're looking for is the product. And I go be pushy or pressury and I sales them into something that benefits me and not them, instead of serving them as a customer and serving what their needs, listening to what they were telling me. I went ahead and put on the pressure, put on the slick words, got them involved in the business. Now they're out of the business. They don't even drink the product, when if I had just served their interests first, which was leading with the product in that particular case. I'm not saying don't share the business with people. I'm just saying people will let you know where they're at. And not 100% of the people are going to be your customer, and not 100% of the people are going to be your business partner. So instead of worrying about who's going to be who, then let the law of influence play its role in your life and go out and gain and grow your influence. The bigger your influence, the bigger your network, by determining how you can put other people's interests first. A lot of the law of influence has to do with listening. It has to do with putting other people's needs first, because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And guess what? That's the down and dirty of doing business. I'm just here to tell you that it's not pretty, it's not sexy, it's not this like, hey, here's our 25-step plan for how you can have success and how you can sell ice to Eskimos and you can do all of that nonsense. And there's so much of that noise out there. The reality is the hard work part of building a true, long-lasting success in business is making sure that you're building your business in such a way that people know, like, and trust you. And people know, like, and trust people that they know put their interests first. It's called trust. It's called trust, right? The law of authenticity. So with these other laws, just like we did with the first law, what are some ways right now that you can put other people's interests above your own in your business? And trust me, I'm not saying you let people walk over you. I'm not saying you let people take advantage of you. Use common sense. Use your heart, follow your heart, but take your head with you. But what I'm saying is there are ways you can do this right now to see an increase, okay? The challenge with some of these laws is that the success is not quantifiable. What do I mean by that? The success is not measurable immediately. So let me give you an example. You've got person A. Person A, they go to the gym and they said, you know what? I want to get fit. I want to get my sexy back. I want to be strong and healthy. I want to feel good. So I'm going to start working out. Person B says the exact same thing. Person A, they go to the gym tomorrow and they come home, they pull up their shirt, they're looking in the mirror, they don't see abs. So they go to the gym again the day after tomorrow and they work out and they sweat and they can feel the lactic acid burning in their muscles, and they come home and they're looking in the mirror and they're like, man, I can't see that it's making a difference. I give up. Working out doesn't work. That's not the answer to getting fit. Then you have person B who says, listen, I know that something cannot be quantifiable. It can't be measured unless there's a long enough period of time over which you're measuring this thing. So they work out 5 days a week, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, 5 days a week. And in 6 months, this person now has quantifiable results where they can take their experience and say, listen, if you do this, this, and this, these are going to be your results because it works. The challenge with these laws, and I know I'm going to have somebody listening tonight who's going to try it once. I did the law of influence once. I put that other person's needs before my own, and it didn't work. I didn't make any. By the next day, I wasn't a millionaire. I wasn't a sapphire, so it doesn't work. I'm gonna go back to focusing on the skill sets and the right words to say and all that stuff that isn't as important as making sure you have the right mindset, the right philosophy, and the right belief system. So it's kind of like another example, brushing your teeth. Guess what? Brushing your teeth today doesn't necessarily make your teeth clean. What does brushing your teeth today accomplish? Not much. But if you think it doesn't matter, go the next 30 days without brushing your teeth. You don't notice a difference after one brush. Maybe some of you do, right? But it's not one brush that gives you clean, healthy teeth. It's doing a little bit of that every day, multiple times a day. But not doing it, that really shows up. It's the same thing with these laws. It's the same thing with the principles and philosophies of success. You can tell when someone's doing it, and you can really tell when they're not doing it. So give this stuff a chance. Give it the time invested to let it show up in measurable, quantifiable results in your life. The law of influence. The law of authenticity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. There's a great book out there. I believe it's called The Power of Vulnerability. I read it years ago, and it talks about the strength and power you create when you're willing to be vulnerable. What's another word for vulnerability? It's authenticity. Everybody's so afraid of somebody judging them and what other people think and this, that, or the other, that they forget who they are, or they don't even know who they are to begin with, and they're so busy trying to be somebody else. And truly, these moments of connection, of authentic, genuine connection, is how you build long-term success. And when you build long-term success through these authentic, genuine moments, the success is not just solely financial. It's also emotional. It's also spiritual. It's also through contribution and this thing called happiness that people think is this unattainable. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who say, who believe truly that they have to have wealth or happiness, that they can't have both. I'm here to tell you you can have both. You should have both. You should not pursue success without also pursuing happiness. And so the law of authenticity, one of the best ways to have that happiness and that strength in your life is to be authentic, is to be yourself and share you being you with other people. Show up, be present, and be yourself. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And for some of us that are like, man, I get that that's probably important, being vulnerable, being authentic, being genuine. Because if you're going to make a list of things that you want from a salesperson, if you're going to make a list of things that you want from somebody who's going to sell you a car or sell you a house or sell you a business, skill set's going to be on there. But I promise if you had to pick through honest, authentic, genuine, sincere, having your best interest at heart, that those things are going to be more important to you in someone you're doing business with than they say all the right words, they're the smartest, and they have the best skills. I can tell you right now, if somebody's selling me something of any kind of value, what's most important to me is they have my best interest at heart. In other words, they're not going to screw me over. How many of us right now that there's certain things we'd love to go buy this or buy that, but we're just not sure what that would look like? It's like, oh, we just expect everybody to be against us. That's not a fun feeling. You don't have to be that way. If you're authentic and you're genuine, you're sincere, these are words that have a lot to do with that. How can you be genuine? How can you be more genuine in your business? How can you be more genuine with your customers? How can you be more sincere with the people you're leading? How can you be more sincere with your leaders? How can you be more authentically yourself in your finances? See, these are all great questions that you should sit with and spend some time ruminating on the answers. I love the law of authenticity. It's scary, but it's so empowering. There's so much courage in being like, oh my God, I'm going to put myself out there. And then you do, and you watch everybody else's walls go down because they were just wishing they were going to be the first one to have the courage to be themselves. Be authentically you. I love an authentic person. It's one of the most valuable and one of the most highly revered qualities that I see in other people. When I have authentic people in my life, I want those people to stick around. I want those people to be part of my life for my life. The law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is staying open to receiving. A lot of this has to do with self-worth. Some people, and I know I have some of you on the call right now, I can think of some of you by name right now, that you give so much and you don't let any good things come your way because of guilt or shame, or you just feel like it's got to always be about other people and you never allow yourself to be on the receiving end of that goodness. That's swinging the pendulum too far the other way. If you don't receive, you're stopping someone else giving. And as this reciprocity, this receptivity, it comes full circle. You can't stop receiving because then you stop giving and then the whole system falls apart. So you stay open. You know that as you're giving, and part of the effective ways to give is knowing that you've got to be open to receive the things that are coming back your way. So I highly recommend, and I know I read a lot, so my intention is not to overwhelm you with things to read and things to look at, but I really recommend this book. I recommend it's a simple, easy read. I recommend reading it by yourself. I recommend reading it with a small group. I recommend reading it with your family and talking about it. Turn the TV off, and instead of talking about the drama and the betrayal and all the nonsense that happens on so many of these TV shows, why don't you turn on your brain and your thought process and work on your belief, mindset, and philosophy and have a real conversation with somebody. Talk about this with your partners in business. Talk about this with yourself. What ways can you do better with the law of value? What ways can you do better with the law of compensation, with the law of influence, of authenticity, of receptivity? And maybe put them in order. Again, self-awareness is how we grow, because without awareness, we don't have the opportunity to make new choices. We just continue to make the old ones, even though we think we're thinking, we're not. We just make the same choices over and over again, and it becomes this habit called our life. And awareness is what breaks those habits, because it makes us aware to make new choices. And so maybe put these in order of the ones you're best at to the ones that you're least at. And really just be like, okay, you know what? I'm really good at the law of authenticity, and I'm really good at the law of influence because I'm a giver by nature. But you know what? I don't stay open to receiving. I'm uncomfortable receiving. That's a self-worth and a mental challenge that we have with money that we definitely want to work on. And maybe you're like, you know what? I just resent giving more than what I'm paid for because of a work situation or a past relationship, and you don't want to let those things define how you build your business. You take control of how you want to build your business. And so these are great. I definitely refer back to these, and I highly recommend The Go-Giver by Bob Burg. Absolutely incredible book. So what are some of the things we can focus on when it comes to these laws? Some of the things that help us stay in that mode and in that mentality. Love. And I know that there's probably some business people in the world who are rolling their eyes at me right now and saying, what has love got to do with business? Love has everything to do with business. As you can see on the screen, it says leadership. What's love got to do with it? Well, personally, I don't think you can have leadership without it. I really don't. And I know people think, oh, that's Pollyanna, that's so optimistic. Well, guess what? Optimism is a good philosophy for your life. And I think people have become so entrenched and they've gotten so lost with all of the outside pressure. I mean, think of the things that you've done in your life to impress other people that you don't even care about, and who, guess what, probably don't care about you. And yet we do these other things. We posture up and we say things, and we want to feed our ego and make sure people know we're smart and they know we're good at this, and they know we want to take credit for this and take credit for that. But if you can just quiet that noise with love, you can find a leader. And love has everything to do with leadership. If you're looking for a great person for reading, listening, YouTube, Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. And he talks about how the truest leaders, when you look at even some of the, he studies the military a lot, and a lot of these beautiful, I mean, they literally bring tears to your eyes, even if you're not a crier, these stories, and it's all about a leader with love, and it's beautiful, and I think that we can change the world that way. And if we can change the world with love, what do you think it would do to your business? If you can change your relationships with love, what do you think it would do to your finances? Love is transformative, and love is everything to do with leadership. I mean, I look at different sports teams, and I look at, you can tell, you can feel when a team loves each other on and off the field, on and off the court. You can feel when there's love and respect for the coach. You can feel it creates a synergy. It creates a power and a rhythm that is truly beyond understanding. It is the greatest, I don't want to call it a weapon, but it's the greatest weapon against any challenge you have going on in your life. Love has everything to do with it. Lead with love. I love it. Eva Gabor, she says, love is a game that two people play and both win. Two people, there's only winners. There's only winners. Make sure you're looking for the win-win in every scenario. Now, I have a story about that. That's for another time, another call, another series of calls, but we're not going to go through that right now. But maybe I'll do that at a major event sometime. But love is a game that two can play and both win. You know, the only time people lose is when love is not involved. And so if that's true, imagine if you loved your customers. Imagine if you loved your business partners, if you loved your leaders. Love will conquer a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I've never found something that it won't conquer. You want to look at what's wrong with the current political system? Just look at the lack of love. It doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on. You look at any situation and you can see where the love is lacking, and you can see where the challenges are growing. The weeds just take over without love being tended on the garden of our life, whether that's our family, our finances, our relationships, our business, ourselves. Lead yourself with love. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate. Be empathic. Be sympathetic, but be truthful. So there's a lot of people who are self-aware and growing. That takes a lot of self-love to be authentic, to be yourself. So they all kind of tie in together. In what ways in your business can you be more loving? You might say, well, Casey, this has never been, I'm all about the numbers, I'm all about the math, the system, all that stuff is great, and all that stuff is there. And of course, you need a business that has those things too. But I am here to tell you the glue that will create true, long-lasting, fulfillment-type success with incredible financial abundance, where you've got the faith of knowing that you're always taken care of by the world because you're taking care of the people around you, it happens with love. So when you walk into a meeting, is it all about the numbers? It's all about the volume. It's only about those things. Or do you walk in and shake some hands? Do you say hello? You know, there was a story about a guy who stayed at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. And he just couldn't believe the level of service. And he starts talking to some of the employees, and he's like, I've never felt so at home at a place that's not my home. What do you think it is? And he said multiple employees told him the same thing. You know what it is? Our managers and the people who run this particular, the Four Seasons that he was at, they said, you know, they check in with us. When we walk by in the hallway, they always make sure to be like, hey, how are you? What are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? And the guy, one person in particular he was talking to, he said, you know, I think that just floods over and gives us this good feeling. We approach challenges in a more loving way. He said, we deal with difficult clients in a more loving way. That energy that we get from our managers and our leaders and the people who run, we just feel really supported, protected, and prepared to go out there and provide an incredible service for our clients and customers. And he's talking to this guy, and the guy's like, let me prove it to you. He said, for example, I work here, but I also work part-time at Caesar's Palace. And he said, no matter what new skills we have, no matter what training they bring, no matter what people they bring in, and we have this system and that system, it's not a good energy place. I've never been offered help by a manager. When the managers walk by in the hallway, they don't make eye contact. They pretend like you're not even there. You feel like you're just a number. And you can tell that our clients there, they're not as happy. They don't return. We have way higher turnover of people. He said, when you come to the Four, you never want to stay at another hotel but our hotel when you're at the Four Seasons. He said, but when you're at this other hotel, it's like, it just becomes one of many choices you can have. It doesn't become the place. So in what ways can you do that in your business? In what ways can you look at the people you're working with as people and not as a number? Do you know their volume but not their kids' names? Do you check in with them? And now, of course, not every single conversation. There's business to be done as well. So I'm not saying that we all kumbaya, hold hands, sing songs, and nothing gets accomplished. I'm saying the foundation on which your activity takes place should be love. And I think that some of us, if we're honest with ourselves, we can see where this might have been lacking in our business and in our transactions with our customers, and start inputting it. Just begin. Start putting it into your business. Start sprinkling some love in your business and watch what happens. The Dalai Lama says, what is love? Someone asked him, what is love? And he says, love is the absence of judgment. Love is the absence of judgment. How many times, Mother Teresa says, if we're loving, if we're judging, we are not loving. And so in what ways can you just quiet the judgment of the people you surround yourself with, your leaders, your upline, your team, your customers, your prospects, your recruits, your family, your children, your parents, your siblings, your spouse? In what ways could you bring love to the table instead of judgment? And I'm not saying that just because you're listening to this call, it's going to be like, oh, okay, now it's just so easy. I'm just going to go sprinkle love everywhere. It'll be easy peasy. But you can develop a new habit of creating love and becoming aware of, okay, if things aren't going right in my business, if things aren't going right in my relationship, if I'm wanting more, if things are going really well with my customers and I want even more customers and more return, how can I add love to that situation and make it grow? Earl Nightingale says, when you judge others, you don't define them, you define yourselves. Because what we put out there comes back to us. Our thoughts that we put out there literally, they get in tune with things in the same frequency and bring more of those things back into our awareness. And I love the day and age we live in, because to talk that way 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago and more, it was very much like, woo-woo. Okay, here comes the crazy people who believe that thoughts are things. Now we actually have science and scientific proof to back that up. That's why for those of you who love empirical data and who love, okay, show me the science that says that that's true, I highly recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza. He references in a lot of his studies, he's all about the data. He's all about the data, because when you have the data, you have the research, and you have the proven research, then you can turn that data into making worldwide change. And so if you're looking for, okay, I want to believe you that thoughts are things, but I really don't, then start researching some great people who have the data to support what it is that we're talking about. Because I've gone through this myself. When I get into stages of my life where I'm really judgy and critical of other people, it's depressing, because I feel like more people are judging and criticizing me. And when I catch myself in that and can snap out of it and go to a more loving place, I feel less judged and criticized by the world. And the more loving I am, the less of the judgment and criticism I get from the world. And then the better I feel, and the better I feel, the more I attract people who are feeling better, and the better I serve them, and the more the compensation comes in. And now we start this life cycle of success. So love is a really important part of being in business for yourself. And I think that I think that the lack of love is what suffers corporate America. Corporate America is suffering from the lack of love. And when you find an organization, and by an organization, it starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with your team, the way you treat them. Lead with love. Lead with love. How would you treat your children, right? That's always a great way to come back to, am I being loving? How would I handle this situation? Gratitude. Gratitude is super important. This is love in action. This is an incredible energy to build your business. And so what are some of the things we can do with gratitude? I want you to write down, even if you're not taking notes, which is fine, I want you to write down the names of the first 3 people that pop into your head. Write them down. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's somebody you're having a challenge or an issue with at work, maybe it's Maybe it's anybody. The holidays are an incredible time with all this celebratory energy and wonderful energy, but for some people, it can be a really stressful time too, because sometimes their interactions with people are not all loving and warm and fuzzy, right? So I want you to write down the names of 3 people. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this with you. So I'm going to grab me a pen and paper, and I'm going to write down the names of 3 people as well. Okay, I wrote down the names of 3 people, and I want you to send them a message. I would prefer it to be a text message if possible, because when people say good things about us, we like to relive those moments. And when you have it in a text message, you can reread it. Haven't you ever got like a nasty text message or something dramatic and something that's like, it's trying to hook you into that addictive nature of things that are going wrong, and you reread it over and over again, even though you know it doesn't accomplish anything? Well, let's do the reverse of that. And I want you to choose 3 people right now in your life. I challenge you for one of them to be maybe somebody you're having a challenge with. And I want you to acknowledge them and be grateful for them. And in a text message, I don't really do email because people don't read their emails, so a text is more likely to be well received. If it's somebody like a grandparent or somebody who's not really into texting, you can call them and share it with them. But tell them what you're grateful for and be specific. Don't just be like, hey, thanks, I'm really grateful for you. Be specific. You know, for whatever that looks like for you. You have a specific scenario. You know, well, I had a friend of mine that I just did this with because she checked in on me. I was going through a situation. It was no big deal. But she checked in with me, and she didn't have to, and she's really busy. She's slammed. She's got other things going on. And she picked up the phone, and she called me, and she was like, hey, I'm just checking in on you. I know that was probably stressful. I want to know how it went. How did it go? What can I do for you? And I sent her a message just telling her, wow, I want you to know how much I appreciate and how grateful I am that you took time out of your day during the holidays to check in on me. And the more specific you are, maybe you have a spouse who took out the trash. Maybe you have something simple. You would be amazed at what being grateful for the small things and the big things can accomplish for your life. So be specific and tell them. Text them, I'm so grateful when you did this, or because of you and who you are in this way. I have another friend who has a past relationship with an ex-husband, and that situation's not a great situation. They don't get along a lot. There's other things going on there, and but they have children, and they share these children together. And I can tell you that she went out of her way during the holidays to invite him and his new wife to be part of their Christmas celebration, to be part of what was going on. And with full loving, let's let it be just about being together for the sake of our children. And she did this wonderful, loving, selfless thing. And so I told her, I said, I just want to tell you how grateful I am and how thankful I am for you for doing that with your ex-husband, because you renewed my faith in the human spirit of rising above our circumstances and coming together for what it's all about, which is love and loving each other. And I just thanked her for that. And I used a specific example. I didn't just thank her for, hey, thank you for being so selfless. Find a specific example. Find something specific. What's so cool is what you focus on expands. So the more specific you are in what you're looking for about what you're grateful for these people, the more you're going to find, the more you're going to share. And you don't have to share just one, and send it out. It's an incredibly beautiful thing. I'm going through a series of gratitude exercises with a group here in Colorado, and every morning we text each other when we've completed our gratitude exercises, and it's been wonderful to see the change in just a short period of time of waking up with 3 gratitudes and writing them down and living in that space. For those of you that are looking for more, just a suggestion, if you're looking for more on the gratitude section and you know that gratitude just feels right, like this feels like the answer and the solution of getting to where you're going in your life. There's a great book by Rhonda Burns called The Magic. It's called The Magic, and I read it last year around this time. And I will tell you, after I read it and did the 28-day gratitude practices in that journal and in that book, my finances exploded. It's absolutely beautiful. So I definitely would share that blessing with you. So choose those 3 people, be specific, and tell them. Make a list of 100 things that you're grateful for. We've got to train our minds to focus on the things that we want. And it's so easy to get caught up in the news and conversation and gossip and the way of life that is the way of life for so many people that we don't even realize that we're trapped in that and that we're not thinking of all we have to be grateful for. Make a list of 100 things. Trust me, you have 100 things. Do you have your sight? Do you have your hearing? Do you have the mental capacity to be able to listen to this call and receive information? Do you have the ability to have people in your life? Do you have a car? The other day I was super grateful for seat warmers in the car and super happy for the person who invented the seat warmer. And then as I'm leaving the house with the seat all warm in my car, I'm grateful for the person who thought of inventing the garage so that my car isn't covered with snow, but it's inside its little car house. Somebody had to think of that and I get to benefit from it. Are you thankful for roads to drive on? Are you thankful for people smart enough to make coffee that tastes amazing and is good for you? Are you thankful for water and indoor plumbing? Are you thankful for arms that work and legs that work? Are you thankful for your body? Are you thankful for the people in your life? Are you thankful for ever even hearing? Do you guys know there are some people in the world right now who've never heard of Organo? They don't even have this opportunity because they don't know it exists. Are you grateful? What are you grateful for about Organo? Come up with 100 things, 100 people you're grateful for just about your OG business, just about your health, just about your finances. And you might be in a tough financial situation. And I'm telling you, gratitude about what you already have is the answer to get out of that situation. And so these are applicable things that you can start doing to see your turnaround and really set the pace for 2019. You know, one of the things, we've got love, we've got gratitude. What about personal responsibility? What areas of your life can you take personal responsibility for, but you haven't yet? And this is so great because personal responsibility is liberating. It's very freeing. And so I'll share with you some things about personal responsibility. When we don't have personal responsibility, we have blame. So sometimes finding, well, what does that mean, taking personal responsibility? Sometimes we can look at the opposite to kind of find out what it means. Blame. Do you have that person that you know in your life that it's always his fault or her fault or their fault or it's not me, right? And has that ever been you? Is that you right now in your business? Is that you right now in your relationships? Is that you right now at work? In what ways can you take responsibility for your life? Because if you don't take personal responsibility for your life, the bad and the good, see, people have no problem taking responsibility for the good, but that only works if you're also willing to take responsibility for the bad. And the cool thing about the bad is it's temporary. It's as temporary as you want it to be. Jim Rohn says, if you're not a tree, move. If you don't like where you are, you're not a tree, move. Go find ways to add value and be of service and watch everything change. But you got to take responsibility first. And you take responsibility by stopping the blame. You take responsibility by stopping the blame. And I look at this and I see it everywhere. And I see people who are willing to take responsibility in some areas, but not others. You see it with people who haven't taken responsibility for their health. You see it with people who haven't taken responsibility for their relationship, right? You see it with people who haven't taken responsibility for their finances. For people who haven't taken responsibility for their business. And when you take that responsibility, it is liberating because blame is the most disempowering position you can be in my opinion. Blame and indecision, those two things, being indecisive and being a person of blame, those things will mess up your life for a really long time. But if you become decisive and start taking personal responsibility, you're empowered. You have the power to change your life. Rumi says it's your journey to walk and people can walk it with you, but they cannot walk it for you. And what's so cool about this Organo journey is people will walk it with you. You know, there's Melissa Brennan and her husband Jared, and I just got their testimonial from Dr. Bob and Kelly and all the amazing things that they're doing, and you hear about the successes happening with them and so many others in the world. Italy, you've got Ricardo Bonato and so many of the successes happening in Thailand and all over the world. And one of the things I love is when Melissa Brennan sent me her testimonial, this is what it says. It says, I have a very simple testimonial, yet it's extremely profound. We've been involved with the Organo business for a year, and we've worked the business very part-time. See, that's one of those things we tell ourselves that, oh, we have to be full-time. We don't have to be anything, right? She says, we've worked the business very part-time. Our success story is that Organo has helped us become debt-free. Let that sit with you for a second. Our Organo business has helped us become debt-free. Congratulations, by the way, celebrating your success with you here in Colorado. Now, instead of our checks going towards debt, they go towards building our vacation fund for our family and investing in our family's future. So building Organo part-time has allowed them to become debt-free, and the money they used to spend on debt, now they spend on wonderful family vacations and building a better future. The other amazing part of Organo is the phenomenal support that we receive from others in the business. It's priceless. The friends we've made in Organo are like family. Thank you, Organo, for such a wonderful opportunity. I love that because this is someone who's saying, wow, look at all of the great things. Not only are we debt-free, but just as important to us is we've got these friends and the support system that's incredible, and that's someone who's taken full responsibility for their business working a part-time basis. Some people use building a part-time business as an excuse to not have results and not have success. But here's the Brennan family going, hey, listen, we build our business part-time, and here's the results we're having because they got the right mindset and they got the right activity level. So I love this slide. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. Too often, see, blame to me, it's interchangeable with excuse or excuses. Change will not come if we wait for some other time or some other person. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. We are the change that we seek. Take on that personal responsibility. Earl Nightingale says we can let circumstances rule us, or we can take charge and rule ourselves from within. Take that personal responsibility. Mother Teresa says, what can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family. See, there's so many people that they're willing to stand in front of this political climate, whether you agree with the political climate or not, and place blame in any different direction. And they want all of these other people to fix peace in the world and to get along. And how come they can't get along? And they won't compromise, and they won't do this, and they won't do that. But they go home and their own family life, they can't get along with their family, they can't get along with their friends, and they can't have peace at home, but they want other people to create peace in the world. If we want to exact true change in the world, it starts with us. That's why Mother Teresa says, if you want to promote world peace, go home and love your family. If we all just did that. Joe Dispenza says, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. It is a choice to not implement these things. Every area of your life will flourish if you have love and gratitude and personal responsibility. I'm pretty sure you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone who disagrees that love would make your life better, that personal responsibility wouldn't make your business better. I'm pretty sure that we've got some sense of just knowing in the wisdom of that. Be yourself. Be yourself. Earl Nightingale says the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. So forget about conforming and trying to be like everyone else. You want extraordinary, spectacular, unique success while trying to be like everybody else. It's okay to be different. Matter of fact, it's better to be different. Be yourself. Goes back to the law of authenticity. Be genuine. Be sincere. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Be yourself. I love this. An original is worth more than a copy. You're always going to be a second-rate version of somebody else, but you have the opportunity to be the first-rate version of yourself. Be your best self. You got to grow. You got to take action now. Get the belief, get the mindset, get the skill set together. And remember, if you're feeling lost, it's just because you're in the beginning of the journey. You're not lost. You're new. And maybe you're not, maybe you're new to Organo and you're new to that process. Maybe you've been in Organo, but you're new to the process of building the business the right way. And the right way is on the foundation and principles of service and love and personal responsibility, contribution. It's incredible. You deserve this life. So take action now. Napoleon Hill says the cause of the Great Depression is traced directly back to trying to get something for nothing. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Let's add value. Let's give of service. Let's lead with love and gratitude. It's the birthplace of miracles. I'm telling you, it will change your business. But remember, just like working out, you're not going to be able to quantify the results overnight. It's going to take time. You've got to give this philosophy time to show up in your life. 2018 has been amazing. But the best way to predict your future is to create it. If you don't control your mind, everything and everyone else will. So let's make sure that we keep the best things about 2018 and recreate them in 2019. And let's change the things we didn't like about 2018 and change them and make new choices. Don't just wish for them. Enact real change. Napoleon Hill says, if you can't do great things, do small things in a great way. If you can't right now go talk to 1,000 people, then give the one sample you're doing, give it your best. Mother Teresa says, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. If you're not going to call all 100 on your list, start with one. Be faithful in small things because it's in them that your strength lies. The small things of a sample. The small things of starting up a conversation with a stranger. The small things of building your list. The small things of following instructions. The small things of being on the Millionaire Mentorship call. The small things of loving yourself enough to love the world. The small things of having the courage to be your authentic self and to genuinely show up in the world. I wanted to end with this slide, and I'm going to go about 2 minutes over because I think it's important. Don't go into 2019 with unnecessary baggage. So many people, you'll ask them in January what their resolutions are, and they're the same resolution they had in 2017 and 2015 and 2012 and 1990. They just seem to repeat the same lack of life year after year. And so I really want you to sit with this. Don't go into 2019 with unnecessary baggage. I want you to write a list of a couple of things. Who do you need to apologize to if you need to? I'm not saying that you have to, but if there's somebody that you've wronged or in a conversation, in an action, in a something, and you just won't feel right about moving into 2019 like a breath of fresh air without apologizing. It's freeing. It's liberating. If you owe somebody an apology, take care of it before the end of the year. Don't bring that into 2019 with you. It's an anchor weighing you down. Who do you need to thank? Who do you need to thank for what they've done for you and the contributions they've made for you? Who do you need to appreciate? Is there somebody that, I know thanking and appreciating seem like the same thing, but maybe there's some people in your life. Maybe there's some people in your business. Maybe you're a spouse or your children. Maybe you live with them, and because you love them and because they love you, sometimes we think we don't need to appreciate those people. And sometimes we're giving appreciation to the people that aren't even the biggest contributors to our life because we know our family has to love us anyway. Who do you need to appreciate? And I think this one, the last one here on the slide, is one of the most powerful. Who do you need to forgive? And forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiving doesn't mean you have to let this person back into your life, and it doesn't mean that. But who do you need to forgive so that you can be free? And I think if you look at all of the opportunity Organo has, here you have a couple that's debt-free in 1 year of building the business part-time. I love that. This is the kind of opportunity that is Organo. Alice Naganga has somebody who literally was able to quit her full-time job in Kenya just from the retail sales. She's free because of her retail sales and the money she's making because of this business and this opportunity and this product. And she's got the same product and the same opportunity as us, but she's literally free from her full-time job because of she's making more money than she's ever made in her life retailing boxes of coffee. This is an incredible business. This is an incredible opportunity. And I think if you sit with some of these things, pick out what's been most important to you and know that we go into the new year together and that I am with you in all of our imperfections and all of our strengths and all of the great things, and I'm excited to be part of your team. I'm excited to be partnered with you on this journey to success. I'm excited to be partnered with you by believing that we truly can make a difference, and that if we make those small changes within our own life and our own self, that we could truly see that ripple effect of love and contribution and service spread all over the world. The finances, going well, growing, and being great are a given if you go out there and you give of your best self. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you investing your time. It's the Sunday before Christmas. It's the holidays. It's the end of the year. It's stressful. It's busy. It's all of these things. And you gave an hour of your time to us this evening. And I value and appreciate the hour that you invested with us to better yourself and to better your business. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And I look forward to seeing you in 2019.